Imagine a high-stakes espionage drama unfolding in the heart of British politics, where accusations of spying for China collide with government decisions, leaving key figures scrambling for answers, and the public questioning national security priorities. This isn't just another news story. It's a tangled web of claims, denials, and what-ifs that could redefine how we view international threats and domestic prosecutions. As a political reporter delving into the details, I'll break it all down for you step by step, making sure even newcomers to these complex issues can follow along. But here's where it gets controversial. Was this a simple oversight, or a deliberate choice that favored diplomacy over justice? Stick with me, and you'll see why this case has sparked fierce debate across party lines. Just 2 hours ago, in a surprising turn of events, the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson stepped forward to clarify the role or lack thereof of a top security advisor in a collapsed case involving 2 men accused of espionage for China. The key figure here is Jonathan Powell, the Prime Minister's national security advisor. Phillipson firmly stated that Powell played absolutely no part in the substance or the evidence behind the decision to drop charges against Christopher Cash and Christopher Barry, both of whom vehemently deny the allegations. This reassurance comes amid swirling rumors and pointed fingers from the opposition. The charges, remember, were dismissed last month under the Official Secrets Act, a law designed to protect sensitive information that could harm the UK's interests. For beginners, think of it like this. To convict someone under this act for spying, prosecutors must prove the information shared was genuinely useful to an enemy. Without that proof, the case falls apart. In this instance, the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, the body responsible for deciding whether to prosecute in England and Wales, concluded that the evidence no longer met the necessary threshold. Phillipson expressed deep disappointment that the trial didn't go forward and emphasized that the CPS is the best authority to explain their reasoning. Downing Street had already denied any ministerial involvement in the case's collapse, but now Phillipson is reinforcing that boundary. And this is the part most people miss, the rare intervention from the Director of Public Prosecutions himself, Stephen Parkinson, who heads the CPS. In a bold move this week, he revealed that the trial unraveled because the government withheld crucial evidence labeling China as a national security threat during the period in question. Without that context, the prosecution couldn't proceed. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. The full picture just wasn't there. This revelation has ignited a firestorm. The Conservatives wasted no time, submitting an urgent question for debate in Parliament on Monday, demanding ministers explain the collapse. They point an accusatory finger at Powell, suggesting he, with his history of pursuing stronger ties with Beijing, chose not to provide the CPS with vital information. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp didn't mince words, telling the BBC that ministers must urgently disclose reams of information showing China's threats between 2021 and 2023. It looks as if Jonathan Powell was behind this decision, and he should resign if he is, Philp declared, painting a picture of potential negligence or worse. The Prime Minister has defended the government's stance by noting that decisions on prosecutions must be based on the circumstances at the time of the alleged offenses. He pointed to the previous Conservative government's position, which classified China as an epoch-defining challenge. For context, this is a high-level recognition of long-term geopolitical shifts, like how climate change might be seen as an epoch-defining issue for future generations. But the PM argued that hindsight can't rewrite history. You prosecute based on the facts then, not later policies. Yet, former Conservative ministers and advisors have a different take, telling the BBC that no official designation existed to confirm a country as a threat. It's more nuanced than a simple label. They claim there's a trove of evidence, including hundreds of examples of China's hostile activities against the UK during the relevant time frame. Take the alleged hack on the Ministry of Defense in 2021, which officials suspected China orchestrated. That's just one incident in a broader pattern. I don't think there is a sane jury in the world that would look at that evidence and conclude China was not a threat. One source from the last government insisted. Public statements, such as those from the former MI5 head Ken McCallum in 2023, further bolster this, describing a sustained campaign of Chinese espionage on an epic scale. These are the kinds of details that could sway a jury, turning abstract threats into concrete realities. The Liberal Democrats aren't staying silent either, accusing the government of jeopardizing national security through its China policy. They call for blocking a planning application for a new Chinese embassy in London, arguing it would enable massive espionage. Giving the green light to the super embassy being built in the heart of the City of London and above critical data connections would enable Chinese espionage on an industrial scale, said Liberal Democrat Foreign Affairs spokesman Callum Miller. It's a stark warning about infrastructure that could serve as a hub for covert activities, much like how a foreign consulate might house spies in a spy novel. To recap the background, Cash, a former parliamentary researcher, and Barry faced charges under the Official Secrets Act in April 2024, while the Conservatives were still in power. They were accused of collecting and sharing data that endangered national interests from December 2021 to February 2023. But as we saw, the DPP announced last month that the evidence failed the test, halting the trial. Now, the spotlight is on whether strategic foreign policy decisions trumped prosecutorial needs. But wait, here's the controversy that has everyone talking. Is prioritizing better relations with China worth risking the conviction of potential spies? Some argue it shows pragmatic diplomacy in action, avoiding escalation that could harm trade or alliances. Others cry foul, seeing it as a cover-up that undermines justice and security. What do you think? Does withholding evidence for diplomatic reasons cross a line? Or is it just smart realpolitik? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the Conservatives' call for Powell's resignation or side with the government's defense? Let's debate this heated topic. Your perspective might just add a fresh layer to the story.